I'm here with Ian Graham, president of Oroco Resources. Ian, great to have you here today.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're here to talk about the Santo Tomas project that you have in Mexico. It's a large-scale copper opportunity. Could you give us a bit of background, some history, and the opportunity you see there?
Sure. So, as you say, it's a porphyry copper at low elevation in northern Sinaloa on the Sinaloa-Chihuahua border. We've brought that project through to a PEA level during last year, so August delivered that, and it comprises a sizable resource, 8.5 billion pounds of copper at a 0.36 grade over life of mine. And so what we have is a buildable resource that is very attractive from our perspective for near-term investment.
That PEA came in with a after-tax NPV of about 1.48 billion, and you've described this as one of the most capital-efficient large-scale copper projects anywhere globally, which I think is a fascinating claim. I mean, could you talk about the implications of that from an investment point of view in developing the resource?
Correct. So for 1.1 billion on our PEA study, you can build the first component of that project. So that would deliver 60,000 ton a day to the mill. And we've planned it so that runs for the first 7 years of the mine life, and then it expands to 120,000 ton a day for the balance of the 22-year mine life. What that does is enable an investor, an operator of the mine, to become a producer fairly quickly and to do it for a low relative capital investment. And so we compete very well with a sort of peer group where for lower capital you can be in production on an operation that will deliver 108,000 tons of copper equivalent, about 98,000 tons of copper a year for a $1.1 billion initial investment. And that's a very compelling capital case for a project.
Absolutely. And in terms of your location and access to deep water ports and that, you've got a good infrastructure network, power, access, sealed roads.
As with so many things, location are key. And so yes, we're on a corridor that is protected by a U.S. Act of Congress that connects Texas with the Gulf of California, and we're on that corridor. So we have high pressure natural gas, power off the Mexican grid, road access, and proximal rail, and all of those connect us to the port of Topolobampo, 160 kilometers from the project by road, and at the port of Topolobampo, access to the Pacific, and that port is one of the free ports. It's underutilized, but does deliver some copper con already. So we would have this opportunity into a great port proximal to the project, which is at low elevation and doesn't require some of the high Andean capital that other copper projects globally require.
Yeah.
So, very buildable in our view, and that's the key to the company's structure. Our CEO, Richard Locke, is a mine builder. And we recruited him into Oroco to ensure that we had a grounded view of the buildability of the project. And that's what Richard has brought to us, and his oversight and focus on the PEA that we delivered last August was really on the nuts and bolts of a mine plan that would be buildable, straightforward, and understandable. And that's what we have.
And while we're on that mine plan, what's there's a lot that's not in the mine plan, the sort of the exploration upside, if you will. Could you just touch on that, like what's outside of the mine plan that could be potential longer term?
Certainly. So we have a resource of about 8.5 billion pounds of copper equivalent. The current mine plan extracts about 5.4 billion pounds out of that resource. There is significant upside that may require some additional permitting for an operator, but from our perspective, we've already defined upside. And then there are a number of prospects surrounding the property, And there is an extension of the resource, currently not in the resource, that we call the Brasiles extension, and that sits adjacent to us. So one can imagine a 22-year mine life extending into the 30-plus years of mine life quite readily at the hands of an experienced developer.
And your, when you take that, your ambition, moving on from the PAs to move towards a pre-feasibility study, how much technical work, how much drilling is going to be needed to get to that point, do you think, in terms of, I'm not asking you to commit to a timeline, but I'm interested in, what's going to be required to get from where we are today to that PFS?
Great question. The ore body at Santo Tomas is essentially in two parts. We call them the North Zone and the South Zone. And we need to lift the resource classification of part of the South Zone up from inferred to indicated. So we have a drill program that needs to be done for that. It's probably in the sort of 15 to 18,000 meter range to do that piece of work. Little bit of engineering drilling to go with that. And with that work, we would be PFS ready. And the aspiration is to do that in the next year to 15, 18 months.
Sure. Maybe we should finish up on that next year to 15, 18 months, and you could share just a few catalyst things that investors should be looking at as they're following along with your progress towards that.
Certainly. So the outlook is we're currently preparing a shelf prospectus. That will put us in a position to finance the company for the phase 2 work, which we will schedule as appropriate. We're certainly seeing a change in the political environment in Mexico, one that is becoming progressively more favorable for mining, and we will time our future off some of the indicators arising off that. But we're really excited about the next step, and this will crystallize at a PFS level a mine plan that we expect will be very compelling for developers.